So now we just went into passes with body locks where we can get 2 double underhooks, whether it's with square hands or whether it's with a long arm, short arm, or a tight waist. All right. So now we're going to look to go into a position where my partner gets a single underhook and I get an underhook. So I have an underhook and an overhook. All right. Some people might be wondering from here, when I go double underhooks, why don't I go into full double underhooks from this position? You can go into double underhooks from this position, and you can use pommels past your partner's legs, but it's much more high percentage to use a single underhook and a head and your head position to beat your partner's legs from here. So yes, you can use double underhooks from here, but the chances of her using double overhooks to engage these becomes much greater, and it's harder to pommel your legs in against a talented opponent. Okay, so just know you can use double underhooks from here, where you punch in and you really get double underhooks or body locks. But if I did put someone down and I had this position here, if I could, I would start to bring one hand out and use it as a post hand versus having double underhooks from here. Okay. So you can do that, but I always look to transition into other things where I have a post hand to bring one of my partner's knees down. Okay. So now let's start looking into a position where we go in, where my partner punches an initial underhook, and we punch an initial underhook. From here, I want to be able to take my partner's elbow and bring it as close to my partner's ribs as possible. So as soon as she goes to punch an underhook in, I'm going to come in and I'm going to sit down. So I have my upper body become heavy so that my chin drops below the line of her collarbones here. Now from here we come in, I lock my hands in one of those 3 grips, and we pull our partner in from this position. Now, just like always, we're going to do the same thing, but this time we have a little bit tighter grip and our partner's arm is trapped. Before, when we sprawled past our partner's leg, the issue was, could she get her right knee to her right elbow to stop me from stepping over the leg? Now, this is not going to be an issue, because as soon as I sprawl past my partner's leg, this arm is trapped. All right, so I go towards the opposite side of the underhook. All right, so from here we come in, we lock our hands, and we sprawl our right leg back, and we bring our right leg through. Here. Now my partner goes to bring her right knee to her right elbow. The right elbow is trapped. So it's very easy now for me to step over my partner's leg and bring it back towards the center line. Now, because the arm is trapped, she has no ability to put an inside bicep tie in. I already have an underhook, so the underhook becomes easy. When she goes to put an inside bicep tie in, the crossface will always come in first, and now we can go right into our top head and arm passing from a top half guard. All right. So the advantage of using an under-over body lock, where we have one hand trapped, is that your partner has no ability to bring her knee to her elbow because her hand's trapped, and she has no ability to stop me from getting to a top head and arm when I'm going to pass from half guard, because her one arm is trapped and the other arm is already separated from the body because of an underhook. So we come in. Actually, let's face this way so you guys can see my leg position. So we come in, we get an underhook, she gets an underhook. We immediately sag down so that our chin drops below the line of our partner's collar. Now we lock our hands, we pull our partner towards us, and now all in one motion, we pull our left elbow down and we sprawl our right leg back and bring our knee across to the hip. Here. Now she goes to bring her knee to her elbow. It's very difficult. We walk back over. Again, when she goes to bring the butterfly hook in, if she does, or bring the head back to the opposite side. So when she goes to elevate me with the butterfly hook, my chin is in the correct position. Now we take an underhook in, we move to a cross face, and now we do all of our passing from there. Okay, so now we're still going to do the same pass, the same hand position, but this time we're going to pass to the opposite side. So essentially, we're going to a near side underhook instead of a far side underhook. Initially, when we went to the opposite side of our underhook, we ended up with a far side underhook and a cross face. This time, we're just going to end up with a tight waist / near side underhook. So if we come in, and this time, we switch our hips to the opposite side. Generally, we want to pass to the opposite side of the underhook. But let's say that's not working. Let's say for whatever reason we feel like we're not going to be able to pass to our partners to the side of our partner that we want to. From here, our head has to switch positions. So we come in, and if let's say our partner glues our head to the opposite shoulder. So we're here. So I feel like I can't pummel my head to this side. From here, we're going to pull our partner in. We're going to do the same thing. Where now I pull my right elbow to my hip to get her going down to the floor. I sprawl my left leg back. Let me come over. Now, it's going to be easy for her to bring her knee to her elbow. So I have to make sure that I walk my knee up and over her knee and drag her back to position. Now, as my head comes to the far shoulder, because she has an underhook, I don't want her to be able to use that, so I take my head more over the far elbow than up over the far shoulder. So I go to the far elbow instead. So now when she goes to use the underhook, she can't. Now, we use this underhook / tight waist to do all of our passing from here. Where now it's very easy to sit through, bring our partner's leg down, and do all of the previous passes that we saw from there. So this time, instead of passing to the opposite side of the underhook, we lock our hands, and again, the whole thing is I don't want her to use her underhook effectively. If she puts her underhook in and she immediately starts taking me out to this side, this is no good. I want to take my chin below the line of her collarbones. So now my elbows come together. So when she goes to raise her elbow up, it's difficult. Now we lock our hands in, we pull our partner in. Now if our head is on this side, we go to the opposite side as the underhook. If our head ends up on the other side, now we have to go to the same side as the underhook. Where from here, we bring our partner down, we sprawl the legs back, and now we step over our partner's knee. Where we pull the knee back to the center line, and now we have a near side underhook / tight waist where we can do all of our work from there. So now we looked at double under over, and now we're going to look at double over body lock passing. Okay? So this time, my partner comes in, and if we can actually lock our hands where we want, this is the tightest form of body lock passing because both of your partner's hands end up glued to their body and they have no defensive hands. Okay? The problem is actually getting this on someone who's good it doesn't happen as often than typical under over. So if we can get to this position, which you can on good people, this is the tightest body lock passing that you can do. But the most common and the most realistic is under over. Okay, it's a good medium between being over both arms and being under both arms. Okay, being under both arms is good, but now she has two defensive hands. Being over both arms is great, but she it's hard to actually get there. So the best medium is to use an under over kind of passing like so. Now, my partner is going to come in and she's going to put initial underhooks in my in place. I have to do this before my partner gets high hands. If her elbows come high, and I try to bring my elbows down, it's not going to work. If my partner locks her hands above behind my back, this is absolutely not going to work. Okay, so this is initially as your partner goes to shoot hands in. So as soon as I go to see my partner shoot hands in, I immediately bring my elbows down close to my partner's body, so that from here my chin again can go below my partner's collarbone, and now they can sag our weight down and lock our hands so that our elbows are relatively close to our partner's. If we lock up and over our partner's biceps and triceps or shoulders, even if I manage to lock my hands, she can just shrug her shoulders up and she's always going to beat me. So I have to have my hands locked relatively close to my partner's hips. So now, when she goes to bring her arms up, now it's incredibly difficult. Now we pull our partner in, and again, we move down to either side. Because we have overhooks on both sides, you can switch your hips to either side. So now from here, we just come in, we pull our left hip down, we slide our right knee back, and we slide across our partner's body. Now, I make sure my right elbow stays pinched. So when she goes to use her underhook, she can't. Now we step over our partner's body, and we pull everything back from here. Now, we have a choice. With any of these body locks, we have choices to pass our partner's guard. Okay? The reason why I didn't show them from positions like under overs is because all the leg pommeling is exactly the same. When we pass from here, I come in and we leg pommel and we beat our partner's legs just like we did. Okay. Now from here, when we have double overs, we have a couple of options that we can go for. So when you play with double overhooks from here, we can come in and we can choose to release the double overhooks. And now we can come into a cross face. We can try to go into a reverse cross face, and we can play from here. We can sit over our partner's body, and we can do similar passes to the things that we've been doing all along. But if we want to pass our partner with our hands locked, now we come in and we pommel a butterfly hook in. Now from here, everything remains the same. Where my head comes over my partner's far shoulder, my right elbow has to stay tight. So when she goes to use an underhook effectively, it's very difficult, and it's very painful for your partner from here. So as she gets to keep my legs locked in place, we come in and we pommel to either side. Just know, when you do manage to pass, if you pass to a mounted position, we're pretty safe. But because your partner has double underhooks from here, if I pass to a side control, just sit up. If I pass to a side control, just know that when you unlock your hands, your partner is going to give you trouble coming up into you. So this is always be ready as she goes to come up into you to either whizzer and go into front heads. If she grabs a single, get down, to go around our partner's body like we did, where we come through with the elbow and we come around. To go into kimuras, to do all kinds of attacks from here. But just be ready if we pass to side control on either side. Just know when you unlock your hands, that underhook is coming up. All right. So we're better off passing into mount from there, so the underhooks are irrelevant. Okay. If she goes to use the underhooks from there, then she just extends her arms and the elbows come away from the body, the hands come over the head, and then you go into attacks off of that. But we can use any of the previous passes from any of these body lock transitions. We get to a half guard, and then everything remains the same. If we want to pass with double overhooks, then we always make sure that that we're either prepared to pass to a side control on either side, knowing that my partner has an underhook, or go right into mount, knowing that the underhooks are irrelevant. Okay, so just conceptually, that's where you should be going from double overhooks. So now, there's always a time where my partner goes to get underhooks. I go to body lock over my partner, and as I go to lock my hands, her hands are just too high, and she can lock her hands and get true double underhooks. Now, when she goes to elevate me from here, my hands are always going to come to the floor. Nope. And we're going to be in this position like so. Okay. Now, once we get into this position, my whole thing is, again, to bring my hips high. I'm beat at the upper body. It's going to be hard for me to bring my hands back inside. If my partner's smart, she's going to have unlocked hands when she grabs my shoulders, and now when I go to bring my hands to my partner's face, she can pull my hands back to the floor, and this will happen. If she has locked hands over my back, I can easily lean up. When she goes to bring my hands to the floor now, she can't. And I can pummel hands in front of the face, and I can separate hands. So a good person will always grab unlocked hands of the shoulders. So now when I go to take my hands off the floor and she goes to bring my hands back down, I can never get my hands in front of my partner's face. So now the whole thing is going to be, I'm beat at the upper body. How do I get back to inside position with at least one of my legs with the lower body? So, one of the easiest ways to do that is to come in, tripod up, and I keep my knees together. If my knees are open, she can easily shoot one leg through, and now she's in an ashigurami, which is no good. Okay. So initially, we come up, my knees stay close together. So when my partner goes to shoot through into ashigurami, it's not as easy as she thinks. Okay. If my knees are open now, she can easily go in. But when I have my legs close together, it's not as easy as she thinks it is. I need to make sure my hips aren't too high from here, because now, even if my legs are close, the leg can come right through, and she's through. So I need to push my partner's heels below the line of her knee. Okay? If her heels come above her knee, now she shoots the leg through and she's in. So I need to make sure my knees are close together and her heels are below the line of her knees. So now when she goes to enter into ashigurami, it's not impossible, but it's hard. Now, from here I walk to one side and I pommel one leg in. And now we're in the same exact position that we were before, where I'm passing with a straight hamstring inside foot. She can have all the underhook she wants now. Now that I have the inside position with my lower body with one leg, I start all my pommeling passing from here. So we come in. My partner goes to shoot into double unders. I go to shoot into my double overs and lock body locks, but I get beat. She puts my hands to the floor. Now we end up here. From here, we keep her heels below the line of her knees and our knees relatively close together. So when she goes to bring an ashigarami through, it's not impossible, but it's difficult from here. Now we walk to one side. If I try to pommel my legs from here, my hips come too high, and my partner's heels will always come above her knees, and ashigarami will come in. So I always walk to one side first. Now, my right knee closes against her hip, and my leg pommels inside. And now we're ready to go into passes. So we walk to either side because it's a square. We're squared in the position. She has 2 feet inside. She's flat on her back, and she has 2 underhooks. So I can walk to either side from here to pommel my legs inside because I've completely beat at the upper body. So I can't get my hands back to the inside yet. So I have to win at the lower body by walking to one side and bringing my foot to a straight hamstring inside. Okay, so now we've covered the meat of the tight passing. All right, so we're going to look to start to go into defenses to ashigarami attacks. Okay, ashigarami type guards. Okay, because ashigarami is a guard. I'm not going to go into positions where my partner sits me down and I have to defend leg locks. There's a whole other can of worms there. Okay, but I'm going to go into my partner enters into ashigarami from standing positions. And we go into defenses. All right. Whenever my partner enters into an ashigarami, the whole thing I'm trying to do is get my 2 feet to the same side of my partner's body. Okay. So whenever I'm dealing with an ashigarami specialist, there's 2 ways to make it relatively easy for me to avoid her legs. Right? One is to split her legs, okay, with an inside foot, and we've already covered that. Right? The second is to bring my 2 legs to the outside of her legs. Right? If you look at any kind of ashigarami, any kind of straight ashigarami, okay, whether it's a rimi ashigarami, go ahead, an outside ashigarami, an X guard, which is a sister of ashigarami, my 2 feet, notice, have to be on either side of her body. So one on the left, one on the right. One on the left, one on the right. Okay? One on the left, one on the right. Right? If I can get 2 of my feet to the same side of her body, now there's no ashigarami. In order for her to enter into ashigarami, she has to go into a full inversions, which makes it much harder now for her to actually enter into me. Okay? So, the first thing we're going to look to do is deal with a seated opponent who comes in shin to shin on me. So we try to step our legs to the inside, but we get beat and we get put in shin to shin. All right? From here, the first thing we're going to look to do is we're going to take our left hand to the floor so that now, as we go to push our partner over to her left shoulder, our right foot is going to, or our left foot is going to come to the inside of our partner's foot, that's shin to shin, and we're going to push her foot to outside position. So now, my 2 hands come to the floor, and as we come across, this knee's coming up, as we come across, we push my foot to the inside position. And now we have an inside foot with a straight hamstring, and we can do our passing from here. So as she goes to enter into ashigarami, I go to step inside, I feel like I can't, from here. Now she goes to enter in, and we just push her foot off. So now my foot's inside. If I don't push my foot inside, and she goes to enter in, now she's attacking my legs. So I can split her legs initially with an early response by taking my left foot across inside her foot and pushing her foot to outside position. And now from here, we do all of our passing from here. So now let's say we actually do get put into ashigarami. Just know, if we do get put into an ashigarami from, let's say, a half guard, my partner enters into a butterfly half guard, and she enters into an ashigarami. I'm always looking to stand up from here. Right? There's never a point where I'm looking to stay on my knee. Because I'm always looking to stand up, get to vertical posture, and look to fight from here. All right. If she knocks me down, it's a different story. But I'm always looking to stand up. So if you're passing, doing any one of these guard passes, and your partner does enter into an ashigarami, and you're on your knee, just stand up. All of your passes will be much easier from there. Okay. So we're going to go into all these passes where we're standing, assuming that if she enters into any one of these positions from, let's say, the double underhooks butterfly guard. As she goes to enter into an ashigarami, and I'm on my knee, we just stand up. Okay? So now that we know that we're trying to be standing when defending ashigarami attacks, assuming we're just trying to pass our partner's guard and not actually defend legs and re-pommel inside. That's completely different. Okay? Assuming we're just trying to get past our partner's guard, we're looking to stand up. So let's say my partner enters into a shin to shin, she enters into a standard ashigarami, and now we're in. From here, if you can push your partner's leg down through, so if I peel this foot off and I push my partner's leg through my knees, you can start dropping into mounted positions. If you can do that, that's great, but it means your partner sucks. Okay? A good person will never allow you to post on this knee because she has a free hand to always monitor that leg. So she'll peel this hand off. All right? So if I go to push this knee down, this hand will peel it off. Even if I do push the knee down, notice my 2 feet are still on the same side of her body. So even if I push this knee down, when I'm going to drop to mount, the other knee will come in and stop me from going into mount, and now she can switch legs, she can do all kinds of things. Okay? So that's a response against low-level people, but it's not the best response. The best response is to find ways to get my feet to the same side of my partner's body. So we come in. From here, we come in, we take an initial reverse V-grip on our partner's ankle. Now we come in, we take either one, where we grab a grip like so, where our palm connects to the bottom of our partner's foot, and we have 4 fingers over the shoelaces, or we come in and we grab palm on the bottom of the foot with the 4 fingers on the outside of my partner's foot. Okay, both are pretty good from here. In the heat of the moment, they're both going to do pretty well. All right, as I peel the foot off from here, I do an initial back step past my partner's leg. Okay, your partner should always be trying to transition to X guard from here. Okay, so as your partner goes to transition to X guard, we come in and we do a big back step around my partner's legs like so. The only way I can do this again is by taking my foot, my knee, my hip, and my head in one straight line. So now I'm balanced on my right foot, and that allows me to back step through. Okay, if I'm trying to go over here somewhere, it's going to be awkward. So we make sure we lean our head over our foot, and now we can back step through. If from here, my partner's doing a good job of following me with this leg, so if I try to go back step through and I feel like I can't do that, we can always try to kick around our partner's leg and come out this way. And if she follows me, we do a front pommel and we come through here. Okay, so that's getting past the legs. Now you have to deal with actually getting chest to chest. So the first thing when she enters into a standard ashigarami is when I'm here, I need to address the legs, right? But if I address the legs and my head position is in the wrong spot, I'm going to get taken over right away. So when my partner enters in, we need to make sure that as soon as we're addressing the feet, okay, I should have added this in the beginning, it's so instinctual for me that I'm already bent over, right? But if my head is over my hips and she goes to sit me back down this way, I'll always fall down, okay? If my foot is too close to her, no matter how bent over I am, I'll always sit down, okay? So I need to make sure that my leg is far enough away from my partner's hand for her to access, and that my waist is bent almost 90 degrees. So now, when my partner goes to take me over in this direction, it's very difficult. If my head is over my hips, now I fall backwards. So her cue from bottom position to stay within a Rimi Ashigarami or switch to X guard is based on my head position. If my head is over my hips, she should be trying to set me down and take me backwards. If my head is bent over and she can't access the leg, she should be trying to switch to X guard. And that's exactly when I go into my back steps. So from here, as I peel the foot off the hip, First, I lean the weight and I backstep through this hole. Second is if I go to backstep and her knee gets in the way, now I try to kick around my partner's leg, and if I can, we come out. If I go to kick around that she follows, we front pommel. And now from here, the whole thing is to connect my left hand to my partner's hip, my left elbow to my left knee, and now I have to start coming in and going into passes. Some great passes that we can do from here is posting the hand on the floor and using my knee to connect to my partner's knee to push her knees away from me. One great thing that we can do from here is we can take our right hand across our partner's body, and as our left hand comes through, drop into north-south. If our partner's knee comes back inside, we can always use this knee coming through, or we can go Torion back to the other side, or we can do multiple passes from there. Okay, so those are some passes. We'll cover the other ones with Toriandos, where we end up in the same position as we do with the back step from Ashigarami. Okay, so now we make a progression where we pass to an X guard from here. Right, so my partner realizes she can't sit me down from a standard Ashigarami, so she makes a conscious decision to switch to an X guard. Right. From here, if my head is over my hips and she just simply drops her foot down to my ankle and scissors her legs, I'm going to fall backwards. Okay, so I need to make sure that my head is bent over and I have a 90-degree bend in my waist. Now, from here, her whole thing is to put my hands to the floor. So if my hands do go to the floor, it's fine. I'm trying to bring my hands to the floor anyways. So I bring my hand to the floor and I lean my weight onto my right hand. I do this by taking my head over my own hand. Her whole thing is to keep weight on both of my hands so I never have a free left hand. So I lean my weight over my right hand and I post here on my partner's ankle. Now, as she goes to extend me, no matter how far she extends, I can always come in and backstep my leg. Okay? Whether she has an Achilles X or a full X with a scoop above my knee, we come in, and from here, we just push the foot down, and now we backstep out. Now we find ourselves in a position where our whole thing is to bring our shoulder inside of our partner's knee. So now when she goes to bring her knees in, now I'm into a nice top pass. Okay? So we come in, our partner chooses to switch to the next guard. Whether she puts my hands on the floor or I put my hands on the floor, I first take my head in so I don't get swept backwards. So I bend my waist, my head comes forward. One of us takes my hands to the floor, and from here, I lean my weight over my hand closest to her head. Now, I V-grip my partner's ankle, I push the ankle down. When she goes to move me from here, we just do a big back step. Now, we come in. If she has an Achilles, I can go in and drop to this position where my shin now is caught across her chest. It's an okay option. Right? Much better is to just go right into a scoop grip and do your passes from here. Okay? So if she has an Achilles and she goes into X guard, your best passes are I back step into a scoop grip. So your V grip, reverse V grip transfers. Your reverse V grip transfers right into a scoop grip. Now, if she has a regular X with the scoop above the knee, now when I go to back step, my shin can't come across my partner's hips. With an Achilles, my shin can come across my partner's hips. But with a scoop with X, now it's much better not to go to a scoop grip, but to back step, bring my elbow in, and drop into this position. So we have two main passes. If my partner has an X guard with a scoop above the knee, we back step past, and we bring our elbow in. So that our shoulders can come below the line of our partner's knees and inside, and now we can pass into north-south. If she has an Achilles grip to control my leg, we come through, we post, we switch to a scoop grip, and then we do our passes like before. So now we come in, and we find ourselves a lot of times in a position where our partner switches to an X guard initially. Okay, and from here, as she puts my hands on the floor, she takes 2 hands underneath my ankle with 2 V grips. Good, and she lifts my leg over her back or over her head. So now we're in an Oshiro X guard. Okay, where she can either use an Achilles or a cup on my knee here. Okay, both are pretty good. Most of the time, an Achilles is what she's going to use, because if she goes into a scoop of my leg, it controls my leg. But I can always peel this foot off and then backstep this out. So just know, if she uses a scoop grip on my leg, I can always use a grip on her hand to peel this leg, and now it's pretty easy to step my leg out. Even if she grabs her second hand and starts to go over, we can always pommel our foot free and now adjust and play from here. So most of the time when she comes through, she passes the leg over and she finds a way to switch into an Achilles grip. So now when I go to pull my leg free, it's difficult. So from here, we're going to come in, we're going to take our hand to the floor again, we're going to take our leg down, and now we're just going to backstep out and over our partner's body, our partner's leg. And now the same thing remains, where from here we take our elbow inside, and now we take our knee down to the floor, and we're in past Oshiro X. So we find our partner, enters into an initial X guard, puts her hands on the floor. Now our right leg becomes light. So she takes 2 hands up and over, 2 hands underneath, 2 V grips, lifts, and brings the hand or leg to the opposite side, and overwraps from here. Now from here, we come in, we post my partner's leg, and now from here we backstep and we bring the shoulder low and the knees. So now we come in, lean to the floor, and we're past our partner into north-south. So now we're going to passing a reverse X guard. And like I said, I'm doing all these from a position where I'm standing, okay? I'm not going into leg lock defenses. The second I come down to my knee, now there's heel exposure. So now all she has to do is take her leg out, throw her leg around, and now we're getting into all these leg lock defenses, which is another 25 hours of video, okay? So all I'm going to do is going from passes from standing position, assuming that I'm standing up and there's no heel exposure because there's weight on my heel, okay? Once I start dropping down to knees, now there's all kinds of heel exposure. We're going into all leg lock defenses, repommeling legs, and it's just a whole nother topic, okay? So we go into a reverse X guard. My partner has an X guard initially. A reverse X guard is just the opposite, where she switches her legs, top and bottom, into a reverse X. Okay. Now let's look at the problem we're dealing with here. In an X guard, what's holding my foot on this side of my partner's body is my partner's right leg. Okay. So in order to backstep, I need to deal with this right leg, and now I can backstep, because the left leg isn't stopping me from going anywhere. The left leg only stops me from going forwards in this direction, here. So with a regular X guard, all I have to deal with is pushing my partner's far leg down, so I can bring my foot to the same side of the body. With a reverse X guard, my partner's in like so. Now, when I go to backstep, what stops me from backstepping is the top leg. When I go to access the top leg from here, it's kind of awkward to actually hold. When I try to push this leg down, it's hard to get a grip of, and it's reinforced by the bottom leg. So from here, we're going to come in, we're going to push our partner's bottom leg down, and now as we go to backstep, we're going to push this leg down with us. If we go to step forwards, which we can because this leg's not stopping us, we're still in the ashigurami because our leg is on the same side, our 2 feet are on the left and right side of our partner's body. So with the reverse X guard, we're going to push this leg down, and now as we backstep, we're going to push this leg down. Because right now, the only way I can go is forward. When I go to backstep, this leg stops me. That's a sticky hook. This leg stops me. So I use a push on my partner's leg to backstep as I bring this leg down, and now I'm past my partner's legs. Now from here, we come in, and your partner has a choice. If she lets go of the Achilles, Now we come in, and we can do all kinds of different passes from here, where we can start popping around to the opposite side, palming our legs to a position where we outflank our partner. We can start coming in knee on belly. We can start coming in cross-face underhook. We can do a variety of different things. If your partner stays here, from here, we can start dropping down and going into scoop grips from here, okay? So, we come in with an initial X guard. The problem that I'm encountering is that I'm trying to bring this foot to the same side as my right leg, because this leg can't move at all. So I do this by pinning my partner's leg down and backstepping. Okay. Now, from here, we're going to come in. She switches to a reverse X guard this time. It's a little bit harder to deal with. This time, we still access our partner's bottom ankle. But now, the bottom ankle only allows us to step forward, which brings our leg further around to the wrong side. So instead, as we're going to backstep, we backstep and we take our partner's knee down to the floor. Now from here, if she releases the Achilles grip, we can do all kinds of things. We can hop to the side and pass. We can start to sprawl and bring the shoulder into the hip, like we talked about before, and pass. We can go to a scoop grip, regardless of if she has the Achilles or not. Okay, but if she holds onto the Achilles and she doesn't want to let this foot go, the scoop grip is always the best pass. Okay, if she lets go of the Achilles, so all kinds of things we can do. We can come in here. We get to go Toriandos, which we'll talk about more later. We can do a variety of different things from there. All right. When we deal with X guard, the problem is, once again, this leg stopping us from backstepping. When we switch to a reverse X, now it's the top leg stopping us from backstepping. But we can't access that leg. So we push the bottom leg down first, and instead of going to the ankle, we pull the knee down. So it pulls this sticky hook off of our leg. Now, two of our legs are on the same side of our partner's body. So now we looked at passing X guard, passing reverse X guard, passing Oshiro X guard. Now we're going to pass Oshiro reverse X guard. Okay? So we come in. Our partner goes into initial X guard. She uses V grips on my legs to pass over to Oshiro X. And now she switches her legs to a reverse X. Okay? So we're in reverse Oshiro X guard. All right? Now, again, other way. Okay? Now again, from here, we come in. We can't access our partner's top leg. So now we're going to come in and we're going to take our hand to my partner's bottom ankle. Now let's look at something interesting from here. Because my leg's on this side of my partner's body, if I try to do the same pass where I step my partner's leg back, notice my legs are still on the same side of my partner's body. You can go this way, okay? You can go either way, right? But just know, if you do go this way, you have to make a full circle where now I lean my head all the way over my right foot and we make a turn towards our partner. So we choose to go behind our partner's leg. We come in, we push the leg down, we give a big back step, and now from here, my legs are still on the same side of my partner's body. So I need to do a big step where I lean my head over my far foot, and we make a big turn towards our partner. And now from here, because our knees are facing away from me, it's pretty easy to cover and go into passes from here, okay? And again, getting past your partner's legs is one thing, but getting chest to chest is another thing. So right now I'm just teaching you how to get past your partner's legs. When we do Toriandos and loose passes, we're going to end up in a lot of these positions where we're past our partner's legs, but we're still standing over our partner, and that's where all of your passes from Toriandos are going to come in, where you actually have to get past the legs and settle chest to chest. So I'm getting to that, but one thing at a time. Okay? So we come in here, my partner enters into an initial Ashigarami. Okay? We know how to deal with this. We peel our partner's feet off as we have good posture, bent over posture. Okay? And we have our second leg away from our partner. Now I can start to bring my two legs to the same side of my partner's body by backstepping. If she switches to an X guard, we have things to do from there. If she switches to a reverse X, we have things to do from there. If she switches to an Oshiro X, we have things to do from there. Or Oshiro reverse X, now we have things to do from here as well. where from here we have a choice to push our partner's leg down, back step, and then do a big turn and step and face our partner. Where now from here, when she goes to face me, we bring the knees down to the floor and we're in, ready to pass. We can also go in front of our partner's legs. From here, we just step forward with our left leg now, and we make a big turn towards our partner in this position. And now I come in and I just drop to this position like so, where I sit on my own shin and my hip connects to my partner's. Now we take a collar tie. We can always take a collar tie because her hand has an Achilles grip. So we take a collar tie and we have our elbow inside our partner's hip. Now when she goes to move from here, it's difficult. The only way she can really go to move away from me is to bring her hand off of my Achilles, off the Achilles grip, and start to fight this collar tie. So as she goes to take two hands to my arm and clear the collar tie, that's when my hip drops, and now we're in a position where we can punch an underhook in and walk back towards our partner's hips to solidify a pass. Okay? So this time, instead of going behind our partner's legs, we go in front of them. So from here, we're in Oshiro reverse X. We push a leg down, and now we make a big step and turn towards our partner. So that now we're facing in the same direction, and we're parallel with our partner. Now from here, if she releases the Achilles, we just do passes from there. If she holds the Achilles, then we just drop down to our shin, and we're hip to hip. Now, this doesn't look very stable. Once she goes to push me away or move her out, because I'm controlling her hips with my right hand, it's hard for her to move from here. So if she stays with the Achilles grip, and she goes to move, it's difficult. And now from here, I just work on coming up, freeing the Achilles, and walking down. Okay? If at any point she starts to extend her limbs by fighting my collar tie, now the underhook on this side is more available, and my right leg can move. So as she goes to clear the collar tie, now we just square the knees, we walk back towards the hips, and we have a pass into side control. So we go either behind or in front of the legs with two big turns in either directions from Oshiro reverse X guard. So now we're going to look at passing an outside Ashigurami from a standing position. Okay? So my partner enters into an initial shin to shin. She rotates underneath me. She goes standard Ashigurami. And now I start to peel this foot off, and this foot fires over, and she goes into outside Ashigurami. Now the whole thing of the outside Ashigurami is my leg is a shelf for her leg. So when I try to push her knee straight down, if she's a good Ashigurami, I'm just pushing her calf into my quadricep. Okay? So from here, the whole thing is how can I get her legs into a position where I can push them straight down instead of into my leg. So from here, I'm going to take two hands with V grips on my partner's knee like so. And all in one motion, I'm going to step forward so that my left leg comes as a wedge behind my partner's hips. Now, I know what you're thinking. It gives your partner access to your second leg. Yes, it's true. You can't stay here, but you just move here briefly. What this does is it puts a wedge behind your partner's hips. So that from here, when she goes to bring her hips back down, she can't. Okay? So the first thing is always I have good posture. Hi, Ashigurami. My head has to be bent over here somewhere, and my foot has to be away from my partner. So when she goes to take me down in this direction, she can't. If my head's over my hips, I'm always going to fall down. Okay? So from here, we come in, good posture, two hands V gripping, and now all in one motion, we just come in and we catch. Now we straighten the arms and we just shake, 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 so her knee line comes, so my knee comes free from her knee line. Now, when she goes to grab my leg, I quickly step it back. If she does grab my leg, we pommel forward and around, and we step it back. Now from here, as we push the knee down, it's relatively easy now to bring a second leg in and crush our partner's two knees together. Now we extract our leg, and now we're in all kinds of pommeling, passing positions where we can beat our partner from here. All right? So our partner enters into initial shin to shin. She enters into an Ashigurami. I go to peel the foot off the hip. She goes to outside Ashigurami, and I bring my head into proper position. Now I take two hands as V grips. I lean my weight forward. So that from here, my left leg puts a wedge behind my partner's hips. Now when I push my partner's legs down, I don't push them directly into my leg. I push them straight down so her knees are over her head versus her knees over her hips. So I come in, and now it's a straightening of the arms and it's a shake, shake, shake. Now when she goes to grab my leg, I step back, or if she does, I lean my weight over my right leg with my head position. I kick forward and around. Now from here, I just take her two knees together. I replace my two hands with my left knee. So now we can extract our foot, and now we're ready to go into passes. Okay? Your partner can hold on to an Achilles if they want from there, but they're gonna have to eventually let go because their legs are crushed together and they can't move unless they relinquish the Achilles grip. Okay? So what it'll look like in a live situation, just so you guys believe that it's real, okay, is when she goes to grab my second leg, it'll look something like this. So now she has to sit me down when I come in, and now we're free. Now we come in, we push the legs down, and now we're free to go into all of our pommeling passes from here. Okay? So once again, when she goes to grab my leg as I come in, now I'm out. When she goes to hold the ashigarami tight, she can't because her knees are over her head now. So when I push down, I'm pushing them directly down. She has nothing wedged around my leg anymore. Okay? So we come in, the legs come off very quickly. So she has not enough time to grab my leg and actually sit me down. When she goes to push me down from here, she has much less ability to put pressure on my hip to fall. And now all I have to do is bring my leg out and continue to free my legs. Okay? So that's dealing with an outside ashigarami when my partner switches from X guard or standard ashi to an outside ashigarami. So now we'll look at going into passes from 50-50. All right? So there's a lot of ways that your partner can enter into 50-50, okay? Let's say that she enters into an X guard. Now she goes to a Shiro X guard. Nope, a Shiro X guard. Okay, and now she comes in and she fires the leg over. And now we have been 50-50. Okay, so something like this happens. Or we're in 50-50 on the ground and we just stand up and we want to pass it from here. Okay, now we're going to see some overlaps. All right, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to come in, we're going to take, again, our head into the proper position. If our head's over our hips and she takes me backwards, I'm going to fall down. Okay, and if I fall down from here and my leg's out here, now she can go right into an inverted heel hook on me, and that's no good. Okay, that was a vicious inverted heel hook that she just did. She was like so angry. So from here we come in, our head's in proper position. The first thing we're going to look to do is bring our right hip forward to expose our partner's locked legs. Now we're going to come in and we're going to take two hands to my partner's foot to bring my two partner's feet down to the ground. So that now, from here, we're going to take our foot, step it behind our partner's knee, and now when she goes to hold an Achilles grip, I just use a combination of the push of my left leg, and I'm going to take my right leg out and over. Now we have our partner's leg pinned. So this now is a new position that we haven't looked at yet. All right. A couple of the great passing positions from here is from here we can come around. First, we need to keep our partner's hips off the floor. That's pretty easy because we have a shin pinned. So we use a combination of the shin pin and just a cup with our right hand on our partner's hip here. Now we replace the cup with our right hand with a tight waist, where now we just walk backwards, pull our partner's hips down, and again, bring our head over our partner's far shoulder. Now if she turns away, this is back exposure. If she turns towards me, this is a top pin. Okay? So we come in, let's say for example, my partner enters into X guard, she moves to Oshiro X, she throws her leg up and over, and now from here we're at 50-50. Okay? From here, we turn our hip forward to expose our partner's locked feet, where we start taking our partner's legs down and feet down to the floor. Now from here we come in, we take our knee behind our partner's hamstring like so. Now, this becomes very difficult for her to hold an Achilles. When she goes to hold my leg from here, I just extend my left leg, and I can pull my leg free. And your partner doesn't want to hold an Achilles from here. If she goes to hold my leg as hard as she can, I'm just holding her in this position for a long amount of time. This is very uncomfortable. Okay? So I go to extend my left leg, and I pull my right leg free. Now we come in. We initially use our right knee behind our partner's hips, and our right hand behind our partner's hips. So when she goes to bring her hips down to the floor, my leg, my knee, and my hand hold her in place. Now from here we come in, we take a tight waist, and now we just walk around our partner. So our hips circle this way with the intention of our head going over her far shoulder. Okay. And now from here, she turns towards me, there's a pin. She turns away from me, there's back exposure. All right. Now, let's say we found ourselves in 50-50, standing over our partner, and your partner chooses to take my back from here. Okay, you'll see a lot of times, there's a lot of good black belts who do this, especially in IBJJF when there's no heel hooks. They unlock their legs, this foot comes through, and now they start looking to go in and take their partner's back from here. Good news is, when I disengage to 50-50 and this leg comes through, now we're in Oshiro X guard or Oshiro reverse X guard. So now all the passes we did remain the same from here. Okay? She goes through reverse X. Go back, reverse X. Either here or we come in, we pin this down, and we're here. Okay? So she stays in 50-50. We put the feet over the head, and we use a hamstring behind her, or shin behind her hamstring to go into stack passes. If she goes to bring her disengage to 50-50 and go into some kind of a Oshiro X or reverse X, then we just do the same passes from there. Okay? So if we're here, and she's in 50-50, sorry, we expose the locked legs. I don't bring my head up and look for the legs, because now my head's over my hips. If she goes to take me down this way, I'll fall. So I turn my hip towards my head, and that exposes the legs. Now we bring the legs down. 1, 2, 3. Now, as we free our leg, we come out. One pass is to come around my partner like so. A second pass is from here. Instead of using a tight waist, we use a scoop grip. Where now, as we pull our partner's hips down, we bring our head over the far shoulder, and we can even do that same pass where we shot our hand across to the opposite side, and then came in. We can switch to a scoop grip on the opposite side, or we can circle to north-south. Okay, that's 2 passes from here. And we're going to look at these again. These will show up again when we do Toriandes. All right, so if we're in 50-50, we expose those locked feet. We V-grip, we bring the feet down to the floor. We bring our foot in, we clear the Achilles. We have 1, tight waist. 2, scoop. Where now, our whole thing is to bring our head in front of our partner's leg first. So when she goes to invert her knee and face me, she can't. If my head's out here, she can bring those knees towards me, and now I've lost my position. So we keep our head in place, and now we either go head to the far shoulder, or if I feel like that's difficult, we can shoot across to a reverse underhook or over our partner's shoulder, right? And from here, we can backstep. Now we can go into scoop grips, overwraps, and what have you, right? Now, third pass off of this is from 50-50. Again, we expose those locked feet. We come in, we bring the toes down to the floor. We take our hamstring behind, our shin behind our partner's hamstring, and we take our foot out. Now from here, as we go to pull our partner around in this direction, we find that our partner starts bringing this leg down heavy. So now we can't cut the corner to bring our head in front of our partner's leg like we want. So whenever I feel my partner going to bring this leg down heavy, I bring my knee to the pocket of my partner's hip. And now from here, I turn my knee down, and I just backstep past in this fashion. Now from here, we go head to the far hip, shoulder to the hip, and we walk around. If we feel like that's going to be difficult, we come in, we take a scoop grip, and then we pass from here just like before. Okay? So we come in from 50-50, okay? Or really anytime we stack our partner, just from a 50-50 position. We come in, we put our partner's toes down, we insert our hamstring, and we free our foot. We have one where we come in with a tight waist, we pull our partner down. We have two where from here we take a scoop grip. If we can get around the corner and get our head in front of our partner's leg, where she goes to invert the knee, and now she can't, now we can go into a pass leg drag, or sit through and pass from here, go scoop gripping, overwrapping, what have you. Or three, I gotta come around the corner, my partner starts to extend her legs and bring her heels down to the floor. So now I can't get around the corner. So I turn my left knee down into my partner's hip, and as I do that, I dominate the space between her knees. So now I just backstep through, and now once we're all the way through, we come in, and we block our partner's hips. Just one more time for that third one. So you're gonna come around the corner, she stops me, and now we're through, and we're into all of our passes, okay? So those are some 50-50 defenses. If you stand up, just know if her feet are locked, you can always bring the feet above the head. If the feet are unlocked, you can sit back into heel hooks, or if she goes to feet to back takes, just do the Oshiro X or Oshiro Reverse X passes. Okay, and then there's some good content that we're going to cover later with Torianda's from a stack position that will start to overlap as well. Okay, so now this time we're going to be passing across Hashigurami. And again, there's multiple ways to pass this from your knees, but I'm not going down to the knees. I'm just doing standing position. The only reason why I'm covering Ashiguramis is because I'm not doing leg lock defenses. I'm doing them from standing positions, so they're just sweeping positions. Okay. Only when you start to get your heel exposed, either when your partner starts to bring you down to your knee, or when you're already on your knee, or your butt, or your back, or what have you, is when your heel's exposed. Then the leg lock defenses. Okay. But when you're standing, all of your weight's on your foot, so there's no heel exposure. There's no heel exposure until your foot starts to get turned off the ground. Your heel comes out. Now you're turning down this way. You're falling down to your knees. You're getting set down to your butt. And then it's a whole different topic, okay? So let's say our partner enters into a cross Hashigurami from, let's say, an Imanari roll, for example, okay? So our partner enters into a cross Hashigurami, however the case is, and we are standing up and above our partner, all right? Now, let's see from here what we have to deal with. Her two legs are going in opposite directions. So as her top leg pushes north, her bottom leg pulls south, and that's what puts me in a position where I can't free my legs from here. So if I just try to push her knee down, even though her knees, I'm pushing straight down, even though I'm pushing like so, it's difficult because there's not a triangle around my legs, but she's scissoring her legs on my legs. If she locks a triangle, now because she has a triangle, it's the easiest thing in the world to push her legs down. But a good person won't lock a triangle. They'll scissor the legs, okay? So now when I go to push the legs down, it's very difficult from here. So the first thing I have to do is, again, get my second leg away from my partner so she can't access it. Now I'm going to first focus on using a post inside my partner's bottom knee, so I can push down and slightly out in this direction. So that disconnects her knee, or her thigh, from the back of my calf. Now she goes to keep a strong Ashigurami. Now when I push this leg down, this leg will follow. Now I pommel my foot behind my partner's leg, and now we're in this position where we're hip to hip. We have all the same pommels that we did before, passing my partner's guard either in front or in back, and we can do all of our passing game from there. Okay? So, if your partner enters into a cross Hashigurami from whatever position and you're standing, if they're low level and they have a triangle locked, the knees will easily come down. But if they're smart and they're scissoring the legs, and are going to push the top knee down, it's difficult. So we go to the bottom leg first, where you push down and slightly behind us, and that disconnects her legs from mine. Now when she goes to put a tight ashigarami in, the bottom leg, the top leg will always come through. Now we just go knee to knee, so our 2 feet are behind our partner's hamstring, and we sit hip to hip. And now from here we have a multitude of passes where we can come in and get past our partner's legs. Okay, so we go bottom knee first this time, then top knee, then our legs clear. Alright, so now we're going to look at Toreandos on a supine opponent. Okay, so let's say my partner comes down and she falls down to her back, and now we're looking to go around our partner's legs. Okay, but we don't want to step to an inside foot initially, or maybe we do, we're just having a hard time. Whatever the case is, we're looking to go outside of our partner's legs. Okay, let's first look to establish something. If my partner's heels rise above the line of her knees, it's very easy now for us to come into V grips on a single leg and get one leg rising and a second leg coming up. Okay, so at any point during these Toreandos, if we manage to get a leg coming up so high that we can V grip and bring the foot above the knee, we can start stacking our partner into these stack passing positions. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to look to see where our partner's legs are. If they're low, we're going to come in with on two shins, and we're going to look to throw the legs by. If they're high, we're going to come in and we're going to go into V grips, where we push our partner's legs up. One comes up, and one will always rise from here. Okay, so we're going to look at where we're going to go based on our partner's foot position. All right. So now we've had this little introduction to a supine opponent. Whether we have feet above or below the knees is our cue for shin or V grips. Okay. Assuming we have a partner who's playing high feet, okay, where from here we come in and our partner starts to pommel their feet out like so. We can come in and we can catch our partner on the pommel. All right. We can also use 2-on-1 to control our partner's foot. So if I just can't get a hold of my partner's feet from here, and I can't touch, I can't throw by, I can't go into V grips, we can always use 2-on-1s on our partner's feet to now raise and go into V grips. All right. So if I feel like I grab my partner's leg and she pommels, we can catch her on the pommel, okay, and bring legs up. If I feel like she's pommeling too frantically and I can't do anything, we just address one of her feet with 2 of my hands. So now when she gets to pommel this leg, I can always raise the heel and come up. Now the first thing we're going to look to do from here is we're going to come in, we use either a 2-on-1 or a 1-on-1, and we raise the heel up. We can use a single straight grip, or we can use a lift with one hand and a push. So we have ways to elevate the feet. Okay? If I want to elevate the feet and her feet are low, we come in, we use a 2-on-1. Now we go 1, 2, 3. If she's pommeling the feet, we use a 2-on-1 to control the feet initially. 1, 2, 3. So we use pass-offs with our hands to bring our partner's feet high. Okay? And through these subtle grip fighting exchanges, we can always win the battle. Like I said before, the person who dominates the grip fighting exchanges dominates the setups. The person who dominates the setups usually dominates the matches. Okay? So we come in, if she's pommeling the feet too hard, we come in 2-on-1. We lift 1, cross V grip, 2, straight V grip, 3. If her feet are low and we want to elevate them, lift the right hand, so straight 4-finger grip underneath the Achilles, cross V, straight V. Okay, and we can always use these in succession. She goes to pommel, and we're ready. And if at any point her feet rise past the line of her knees. That gives us an easy straight V. Okay? So now we come through, we push our partner's feet to the floor, and now we're going to start to circle around to bring our left knee to this passing position in here. Where from here we have all of our passes that we did previously. Another good one from here is we can take our left hand through, grab our partner's hip, and now we can take our left knee to the floor. Now we still have an ankle behind our partner's ankle. Now our whole thing is to take our right hand inside of our partner's hip, and now as we backstep our right leg inside, okay, so we come in, as our right leg comes inside, we let go of our partner's ankle. Now our shoulders are inside of our partner's knees. Okay, so we come in, we play this game to take our partner's feet up. We take our knee down to our partner's hamstring, and from here we punch a left hand in. Now we start moving around behind our partner's head. So first we are at the hamstring. Then we move ankle to ankle, so that now we have room for our right hand to insert. Now, as we bring the right knee inside, the left leg just comes off, and we pin our partner's hips down to the floor with our shoulders inside the knees. Alright, so now we looked at what are our cues for shin placements with our hands versus up grips where we have V grips that take our partner's feet up over our head. So we have downwards facing V grips on our partner's shins, and we have upwards facing V grips behind our partner's Achilles. Okay? So now, let's say we want to start looking at Toreando passes. When we have gi pants, we have the luxury of holding onto our partner's legs. So we can be kind of lazy with our foot position because we can use the pant legs to move our partner around. Okay? Without the gi, we need to be more artful in the way that we use our foot position. Because at no point will I be able to put hands on my partner's legs and control grips for long amounts of time. Okay? So the foot position is way more important than the hand position. Okay? I have to rely mainly on touch and go methods where I just touch my partner's legs and pat them to the side while my feet do the work. Let's understand something. The only way I can put pressure on my partner from this position is to take my foot and step past the line of her hips. If I don't step past the line of her hips, if I don't step to the line of her hips or just to the line of her hips, there's no pressure on our partner. So I have to make sure that when I step beyond the line of my partner's hips to put real passing pressure on her, or now she has to react. Okay? So the first thing we're going to do is look at a drill where we use no hands on our partner. Where from here, we just have open hands. We take our right foot and we step past the line of our partner's hip. Now, if I turn towards my partner and my knee points towards her far shoulder, this is no good. Because now she can bring her knee behind my knee, start inverting into cross ashigurami, and start giving me problems from here. And I have no access to her feet. So from here, when I step across my partner's hip line, we take a cross step. One, we turn so that our knee points towards our partner's far hip. So now when she goes to enter into cross ashigurami, I can always open my knee and it becomes more difficult. In addition, when she goes to bring her feet up, I have V grips now on my partner's ankle. So we're going to do a drill where we step to our partner's hip line, past our partner's hip line, we turn towards the knee. As she goes to bring her knees back in to recover, we step just outside of my partner's hip line. We lean our weight over onto our right foot, and now we step all the way across the hip line as her legs are going this way on the opposite side. We come in. As she goes to bring the knees in, making sure that every time we step across our partner's hip line, past the hip line, and we point our knee at the opposite hip. Here. Now once we start getting comfortable with this, now the hands come into the equation. Okay? Where we can start with simple drills where I throw the legs to the side, she legs come in. And you see that you can put pressure on your partner through footwork, through motion in the feet, not just through holding your partner from static positions. Okay? Now let's take a look at this. Sorry, this is exhausting. Okay? It's more exhausting for the person on bottom, trust me. All right? When I go to take my partner's legs out to the side, there's a variety of actions that she can give to me. One is as I go to take a step, she brings her near leg towards me and brings her foot inside and catches my leg. If that happens, it gives me an inside cross hamstring foot, and now we do our passing from here. Okay? Or we like to push our foot across and do our passing from a straight inside foot. Okay? So if I go to throw my partner's leg to the side, she brings her foot inside. Now we come in, now we have an inside foot, and we pass from any of these positions. If we throw the legs to the side, and my partner does a high leg over, then the foot comes higher than the knee. Now we come to V grips, and we do any of those passes. Okay? So if one, her leg comes inside, your near leg, now we have an inside foot. Okay? If two, leg comes over, now we come in, and we do any of these passes from here. Okay? One of the passes that we looked at before, that we can review from this position, is as her leg comes inside, we come in, and now from here, we take our left knee in front of our partner's leg. So now when she goes to bring her right knee to her right elbow, it's impossible because my leg is a wedge in front of it. Now, we come in, we use a V grip, a reverse V grip on our partner's leg, and that same collar tie we used before. Where now we like to kick our leg back, pommel around, and pass from here. If she goes to follow me, we pommel in front, and now we pass from here. Where now your partner can turn away from you and give you back exposure. But the most common reaction from here is as you go to drop down to knee on belly, she bridges towards you. So because I have my two hands on the floor, as she bridges towards me, I hop across to the opposite side, and now I can pummel my legs into a safe position. Okay? Where I can fight for upper body position, or if she bridges into me on this side, I bring my legs back to the opposite side. Okay? So from here we can come in, and our cues are based on what our partner does defensively. If we put enough pressure on our partner to bring the bottom leg in, or the near leg in, now we're into an inside foot. If we go into a position where our partner high legs over, now we're into V grips. If she goes into the inside foot, we come in and we start doing passes from here, where you have 2 feet together like so. And now, as she goes to beat me from here, we come in, we pummel around our partner's legs in certain ways, and we can do a variety of passes from here. We can also come in, and just like we talked about in one of the previous series, when she goes to bridge into me, we can bring our knee in between our partner's legs. So now she doesn't actually have a half guard locked, but we have upper body position. We can come in front of the hips, over the head, and beat her from here. Okay? So basically everything that we're doing now, once again, is coming into one series. Okay? So every position that your partner can go to defend from a toreando is going to put you into a position that we've already been in from here. Okay? Now, let's look at some more options. Okay? So we go to hit a toreando. We throw the legs by. Your partner can turn away from you. Or now, this back exposure, where we put so much pressure on her through footwork and motion that we created back exposure. Okay? If she chooses to turn back into you because the knees face away from you, that is a top pin. All right, so common reactions. 1, we hit a toreando, near leg comes inside. 2, we hit a toreando, far leg, high legs over, V grip. 3, we go to hit a toreando, we bring our knees in, and now from here, she goes to bridge, we come in, and we take our legs to the opposite side. As her legs are to the floor and she's bridging into me, it makes it easy to pummel my legs across. 5, we hit a toreando, she runs away from me, and now there's back exposure. Okay. Another option that she has from here is from here, as I go to hit Toriandos, she can just choose to do a good job of bringing her knees into her chest. Okay, so as I go to come in and maintain inside position here, she can always fight to bring her knee back inside, and now we come in. And now we do a series of pushing on the knees and Toriandos to bring the knees back inside. If the knee comes back inside now, and she starts inverting, now he hops to the other side. Now we come in, we start passing here. If we can pass, great. If we can push the knees away from us, great. If the knees come back inside, then the knees face towards me, this leg comes in. Now guess what? We throw back to the opposite side. Okay? Now her legs are so far away from me that she turtles, and now there's back exposure. Okay? Another great option is, as we go to pass our partner, we get to a position where we're completely north-south. So we throw past our partner's legs, and we end here. From here, we have a great way to come down right into north-south. The problem here is that her knees can connect to her two elbows. So if at any point I try to put pressure on my partner by coming down chest to chest, I can put no pressure on my partner from here. And she can easily invert inside of my guard, inside of my chest, and spin back into butterfly guard. So my whole thing from here is how do I incrementally work my limbs to inside position. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to come in, we're going to take our one elbow and invert it to bring it inside of my partner's knee. So our head is on center right now. Our head moves off center over our partner's one knee so our elbow can come inside. Now move back over the opposite knee where my elbow's inside, and now our left knee's in place. Now we start pushing our my partner's feet towards the floor. If her knees stay into her chest so much that I can't push the knees away from the chest, it will always force her into a full sit-up, where now there's back exposure. Okay? So her feet have to start drifting down towards the floor and her knees away from the chest. When I see the knees coming away from the chest, there's a certain point now where my two elbows can come to the floor, my head can come to the center of my partner's stomach, and now from here we get inside position with the elbows and then the shoulders inside of the knees. So when she goes to bridge and recover from here, it's very difficult. Okay? So possible reactions from my partner off Toriandos. Okay? One is I go to hit a Toriando. Okay? Two is she goes to recover and we can pass back to the opposite side. Okay? So you have Toriando one side, opposite side, one side, opposite side. I go to hit a Toriando, I step across my partner's hip line, and from here, she brings a leg inside. 1. 2, she brings a high leg over, and we V-grip. 3 is we get chest, or we get a hand inside. She goes to bridge into me hard, and when her feet are on the floor, we hop across to the other side. 4 is we put so much pressure where she feels she's going to get a guard pass, she runs away. Now there's back exposure. 5 is we get all the way to a position where we're north-south. Now we fight to bring one elbow inside, 2 elbows inside, feet down towards the floor by leaning forward, shoulders inside, and now hands down to the hips. Okay? The last thing that she can do is when I Toriando, she can take her hand through, and if she feels like she's beat, she can go into a full inversion and enter into my legs. And now we just do all the passes that we did from these positions. Okay? So, whatever your partner does to react, we've covered it. Okay? Whether they take a foot inside, whether we take a V-grip, whether we create back exposure, whether we come down chest to chest, whether we go into north-south, whether she enters into her legs, we know how to pass the guard. Okay? Now, like I said, it's probably going to be like over a 10-hour video. It's going to take a long time to get good at. Okay? And I'm sure that I'm going to go home and I'm going to remember things I should have added. And then I'm going to have super OCD about it and be pissed off that I didn't add it. But if it's something serious, I will edit it. Okay? This is a complete guard passing system. Okay, it's a systematized series of moves that will get you to pass your partner's guard no matter what reactions they have. Okay, and if it fails, you just reboot the system and you just start everything over again. Okay, there is things that you may have seen before. Okay, but there are also unique things in here. Okay, nobody else in the world is doing passes where they plant their hands on the floor and they palm the legs. Okay, this is something that is going to be the first time you've seen it described like this. Okay, there's breakdowns and stuff on YouTube, but it's be the first time you've seen things described like this, and it's going to be awkward when you first try it. Okay, because it's the exact opposite of what everyone tells you to do. Other than that, I don't really have too much. If you guys actually make it through this video and get to see this and watch 10 hours of my bullshit, bravo to you. And thank you guys for watching. Thank you to Miss Sunny here for being in UK for like 65 hours while we actually filmed. Thank you to my sponsors, everybody here. There's too many to name now. And to Mike Zenga and Bernardo and Ian for being the film guy for those 65 hours, and BJJ Fanatics. So it was great. There'll be more. Okay, obviously you guys saw that when I trained today, there was a lot of opportunities for submissions that we didn't really cover, back takes that we didn't really cover, and there was a bunch of things that were there, but I was just doing guard passes. So we'll see what the next one is.